Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2022, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebration. Nation celebrating 75 years of independence. United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs 2015 to 2030, as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute, Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue today's sessions. Today, we have various commemorations like National Influenza Vaccination Week from December 6 to 12 in US, and Computer Science Education Week, December 6 to 12 in US, and Older Driver Safety Awareness Week, December 6 to 10 in US, and National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women in Canada, National Miners Day in US, National Microwave Oven Day, US, National Pawnbrokers Day, US, World Trick Shot Day, International. So let's start with the World Trick Shot Day, which is an international commemoration. So World Trick Shot Day is held on the first Tuesday in December every year. And this year we celebrate on December 6th. So trick shots are not only entertaining, but they are also inspiring. Gravity-defying feats of physics take trick shots to the next level and prove to us that only limits we place on ourselves. So a trick shot is a seemingly unlikely or impossible shot, or one that requires great skill to make. World Trick Shot Day was created by Harlem Globetrotters to allow fans around can do with some imagination, creativity, a basketball, and a hoop. The Harlem Globetrotters founded the Abe's Sebastian, played their first basketball game and made their first shot in 1926 and have been making waves in the world of sports and entertainment ever since. They gained popularity with their antics and amazing abilities on the basketball court. Today, they hold numerous world records for their feats and continue to push the limits of the game. They also invite and engage fans all over the world by encouraging them and share them. So popular globetrotter Hammer Harrison is reported to have said, "We practice them because it's such a thrill for us and our fans. Our fans give us great feedback when we post them. We love getting the chance to see what they can do too." So the Globetrotters are proud inductees of the Naismith Memorial Basket Hall of Fame and have entertained hundreds of millions of fans, including presidents, popes, kings, and queens over 9 thrilling decades. All these make the day a remarkable one to show that we humans have no limits on what we do. So the first road game, Harlem Globetrotters play their first ever road game in Hinkie, Illinois on January 7th, 1927. And World Trick Shot Day is established in November 2016 and has been celebrated ever since. So special day for trick shot. And Globetrotter Hammer Harrison skydives from a plane that is 13,000 feet in the air, and as he floats in on his parachute, slams home a dunk just before landing. So highest slam dunk ever. In 2019, the Globetrotters embark on their Pushing the Limits World Tour, marking 94 years of touring in 2020. A trick shot is primarily about performing extraordinary feats with a basketball and a hoop. However, the word is used to describe a shot balls organized in ways that are unlikely or impossible to appear in normal play, played on a billiards table or pool table or a snooker table or volleyball or basketball or any ball related sports. So as we have seen, the Globetrotters have a very good reputation, and they have also lost games at times. The Globetrotters have lost 345 games over 9 decades. However, they have had 27,000 games won, which has more than made up for its losses. So most of the time they are successful and they are the winners over 9 decades. And not only the male counterparts, Globetrotters have female members as well. TNT Lister became the first woman to join, and since then, other female players have joined the team. And this is a great day to demonstrate every twist, jump, and flip you know. After performing and recording your awesome moves, you can use the hashtag World Trick Shot Day and post them on social media. Trick shots are really hard to do and require lots of skill. Encourage and cheer someone who is trying their best to perform some trick shots. Support someone participating and learn a new trick shot. This is a perfect day to do something different. Add another trick shot skill to one of you already know and how to perform. And some interesting facts about Harlem Globetrotters. They had a different name at the beginning and they were called the Savoy Big Five when they were formed in 1926 and were renamed the Harlem Globetrotters in 1929. And they are global and they have performed in over 120 countries and territories across 6 countries uh, since inception. Pioneer in black basketball history, the first American player to play for the NBA was Harlem Globetrotter. So they currently own 22 Guinness World Records. And they are well honored and they have a star on their Hollywood Walk of Fame for their incredible off-court entertainment. And with their extraordinary skills played on this day, we learn to push beyond the things we thought we couldn't do. So this day does a great job of inspiring us. It takes us beyond our perceived limits. It helps us to have loads of fun. Who doesn't appreciate some time off to have fun? This day makes it possible and provides fun at its peak, and it unites people across the world. This day is celebrated all over the world in different countries and enables diverse people to relate and interact with one another. This increases the value of our shared bonds as humans. So, with this, we shall end the commemoration of the day and try new tricks on this World Trick Shot Day. It can be in any game, not at times just ball games, but you can try. And let's look into National Influenza Vaccination Week. National Influenza Vaccination Week, in short known as NIVW, is observed between December 6th and 12th, and as a gentle reminder for you to stay protected in the upcoming winter months. If you haven't already taken your vaccination shot, it's not too late. We encourage you to get your dose as early as possible. The season for flu is quite unpredictable and it can begin as early as fall and last up to spring. So, conventionally, flu activity is at its peak during winter, and so public healthcare professionals, advocates, and communities join hands to promote flu vaccination. Many people tend to show a cavalier attitude toward flu, dismissing it as a bad cold, but it's more than that. It can cause serious health complications such as bacterial infections or pneumonia and can get you admitted to a hospital if not treated at the right time. The flu can even lead to death at times. So, to prevent such mishaps and to raise awareness, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC in short, created an IVW in 2005. In 1918 influenza pandemic, also known as Spanish flu, was one of the deadliest flu outbreaks in the human history. Caused by the H1N1 influenza virus, the disease spread across the globe toward the end of World War I. The earliest case of flu was detected in military personnel in Kansas, March 1980. The Spanish flu infected almost one-third of the world's population in 4 successive waves, and it recorded a high death toll ranging from 20 to 50 million worldwide, killing 675,000 people in the US alone. The high mortality rate among adults the high mortality rate among young adults between ages of 20 and 40 was a remarkable feature of the influenza pandemic. Although vaccination against influenza began in 1930s, it was only until 1945 that it saw widespread availability among civilians in America. One of the lead researchers of this vaccine was Dr. Jonas Salk, who is best known for developing the polio vaccine in the 1950s. The US still witnessed tens of thousands of deaths caused by influenza each year. Flu can affect anyone, but those at higher risk are the aged 65 plus, little children, pregnant women, and people with chronic illness. An infected person can pass it to someone at a high risk of severe illness, including babies younger than 6 months who are too young to get a flu vaccine. To spread this, to prevent this spread, the advisory committee of CDC urges every individual to get vaccinated, including people in good health. So let's celebrate National Influenza Vaccination Week as responsible citizens and continue the flu vaccination season in order to protect as many people as possible. So scientists isolate influenza A viruses, proving that flu is not caused by bacteria in 1933. So that marked the first isolation of influenza virus. In 1960, the US Public Health Service recommends annual flu shots for the people at high risk of contracting flu, people with chronic diseases, anyone above 65, and pregnant women. And annual flu vaccination is recommended since 1960. So the first nasal spray flu vaccine gets authorized for public use, and first nasal spray was licensed in 2003. The genomes of the virus from 1918 pandemic are fully sequenced in 2005. So this is the best time to get the flu vaccine. Pregnant women can get their shot in any trimester, but doctors sometimes advise pregnant women to get the vaccine in the third trimester so that baby is safe after birth. And it is also possible that vaccination is not 100% safe. Even after getting vaccinated, it is possible to contract the virus even after receiving the vaccination. On the bright side, the vaccination reduces the risk of falling sick by 40 to 60%. So you have less chances of contracting with the virus. And ideally, a flu vaccine takes up to 2 weeks to develop antibodies to fight the virus. So it's wise to be cautious and avoid close contact during this period to help stop the spread. And volunteer at the vaccination center. Yesterday was International Volunteers Day, and you could be what a better choice to volunteer at a vaccination drive, help people register for the slots, make fun placards to direct them over to vaccination centers, or reach out to underprivileged people. And it's always nice to be conscious of matter as serious as flu vaccination. CDC usually hosts webinars to promote the vaccination week, and you can be part of it. And also, you can join any awareness and programs, webinar by your nearest organizations to get more awareness like this. And as every vaccine or medicine has side effects, influenza vaccines have mostly proved to be safe, but common side effects include muscle pain, tiredness, and mild fever among 5 to 10% of children. And flu patients will, with good immunity, normally takes about 2 weeks to recover, but some people might develop serious complications. So time to recover differs from individual to individual. The flu is highly contagious even before visible symptoms appear. So you must strictly avoid contact with anyone for up to 5 to 7 days after you are diagnosed. So be aware of symptoms appearing and allergic reactions. Apart from babies below 6 months old, the vaccine could be hazard for people who have acute allergic reactions to it. And much like the COVID-19 virus, the flu virus can enter the body through your eyes, nose, and mouth. So quite the spreader. And flu vaccinations reduce the risk of getting admitted to hospitals every year. In 2019 and 2020, vaccination drives prevented an estimate of 105,000 hospitalizations. And the vaccine protects pregnant women from contracting lung infections during and after their pregnancy. Studies have also shown that vaccination prevents the baby from getting sick for several months after the birth. So it prevents respiratory infections in pregnant people and infant, a lifesaver for children. Flu vaccination can significantly reduce the chances of a child dying from the flu. So gets vaccinated for the flu this winter. This week also marks Old Driver Safety Awareness Week in US. It is the first full week of December, from December 6 to 10 this week, to make roads a safe place for the older generation. The elderly may experience several challenges such as weak eyesight, hearing issues, dementia, sleep disorders, and physical disabilities that may impact their driving. So the drivers are at risk of experience car crashes that often lead to death. So it is also important to note that traveling in vehicles is often necessary for elderly who cannot walk for long intervals or distances. So do your part in making the world a better place for the older drivers and celebrate Older Driver Safety Awareness Week. So based on the statistics for Center for Disease Control and Prevention, there are about 44 million licensed drivers over 65. These individuals often choose driving over walking due to certain disabilities, illness, or lack of strength. However, it is tragic that around 7,700 of these old drivers die in a motor vehicle accidents annually, and more than 257,000 sustain severe injuries and have to visit the ER. So can these accidents be avoided or prevented? Yes. If all drivers wear a seat belt and take note of required security measures, they are less likely to experience fatal injuries, even if a car crash occurs. It is also important for the younger generation to follow traffic rules, keeping in mind that many elders have slow reflexes due to physical ailments and may not be able to save themselves when confronted with a reckless driver. The American Occupational Therapy Association initiated the Older Driver Safety Awareness Week in 2009 to discuss the various aspects of driving awareness for the old. They choose December as a way for families to gather and ponder driver safety. Created in 1970, the American Occupational Therapy Association, in short known as OATA, is a national professional association representing the interests and concerns of occupational therapy practitioners and students. When the elderly are injured in crashes, they are often sent for occupational therapy to improve their movement. So AOTA took note of the problem and dedicated an entire week for it. So in 1920s, print ads regarding road safety are published for the first time. And in 1950s, scientists introduced a scientific response to auto safety problems to crash testing and analyzing the effects of collision. So safety first. And Volvo introduces the 3-point seat belt in 1959. And Congress pushes for safety standards for new cars in 1966. So safe cars. So driver safety assess the safety of a driver in different traffic conditions. So driver awareness training course helps drivers understand speed limits and road safety. And the most important rule of driving is to focus on the road and avoid accidents. And teach the elderly in your town about the importance of driving safety and measures they can take to secure themselves. Spread the message through online and offline and create awareness regarding driving safety in and around communities and enforce laws like drinking and driving. Laws around the world could reduce alcohol related crashes by 20% and traffic crashes deaths. More than 1.2 million people die crashes every year. Over 50 million people become victims of crashes every year. So injuries and disabilities caused by traffic crashes. And only 45 countries have national drink and drive laws that meet best practices. And using a phone while driving increases your chance of crashing by 400%. So these are dangerous cell phones. So strictly no to phone while driving. And this driver safety awareness week, it teaches you to be safe. This week is essential since it talks and about the importance of driving safety awareness and teaches one to be safe on the road. And this week plays a significant role in bringing and raising the awareness of the problems the elderly face to the forefront. It also explains precautionary measures that older drivers need to take when on the road. And this week is also informative as it highlights the elders' problem and provides solutions that we can apply to increase driving safety awareness. So with this, we shall conclude this commemoration. Today is also National Miners Day. Despite federal efforts to ensure safety working conditions for miners, they have one of the most difficult and dangerous jobs you can imagine. So to recognize their efforts, Congress has declared December 6th National Miners Day. Our entire economy depends on them. So we should all take a moment to think about the many ways that miners play a role in our daily lives. Mined materials contribute to the things like roads, houses, cars, and computers. So we wouldn't be able to get much done without their hard work. So the Monongah mining disaster, an explosion in Monongah, West Virginia, triggered the worst mining disaster in American history on December 6, 1907. So the Department of Labor's Mine Safety and Health Administration develops videos and blog posts to shine light on this occupation, discover all that miners accomplish. So whether it's quartz in Massachusetts or gold in California, find out what miners are working on in your state and you may be surprised. And think about all of the daily luxuries we have that depend on mining, from our cell phones to the pots and pans we cook. So much depends on the miners. And there are various films about miners and mining. Some of them are Harlan Country, USA, 1976. This documentary uncovers the violent strike between miners and owners in rural Kentucky. And another movie, The Miner Sims, 2010. This story shows the tough life of working in the pit, the role of trade unions, and how labor-based professions struggle in a corporate-ruled economy. And another movie, The Pennsylvania Miners Story, in 2022, based on a true story, watched 9 miners struggle for survival after being trapped underground. And another movie, Little Accidents, in 2014. This drama begins with a deadly mining accident and unfolds in a series of unfortunate circumstances for the miners and their families. Another movie, North Country, in 2005, a single mother and one of the first women at an iron ore mine in Minnesota, Josie Ames, played by Charlize Theron, depicts the challenge of working in a male-dominated industry and goes on a file to a landmark sexual harassment suit. So miners are important in our lives. Miners extract our natural resources, literally making it possible for us to enjoy comforts of modern life. They have a challenging job, so let's take some time to think about all they do. And mining is vital to the US economy. America is one of the world's largest producers and consumers of mineral products. For example, US produces huge quantities of coal, iron ore, copper, phosphate, rock, and zinc. These economic opportunities and wealth generated by mining are substantial. And it's not easy. Potential dangers for coal miners include suffocation, gas poisoning, roof collapse, rock burst, and gas explosion. So miners deal with daily hazards. So with this, we shall conclude the commemoration. Today is also National Microwave Oven Day. To celebrate one of the most influential kitchen appliances, microwave ovens serve a variety of uses, such as making popcorn, heating leftovers, melting chocolate and butter, and even heating water. These days, you can even make microwave fudge or cake. Microwave ovens also use less energy than conventional ovens, sometimes up to 80% less. There's no doubt that microwave ovens change our lives for the better. So it's no surprise that we have a day dedicated to celebrating the microwave's usefulness. Percy Spencer, a self-taught American engineer, developed a means to prepare food with microwaves safely. In 1945, he realized a candy bar in his pocket was melting while working with active radar. Amazed by his discovery, Spencer set out to make popcorn in the microwaves. He then attempted to cook an egg. The egg test performed far worse than the popcorn test and blew up in his co-worker's face. Nowadays, we know that we can use microwave ovens to cook or even poach eggs. So Spencer, who worked at Raytheon, experimented with numerous ways to cook food with microwaves safely. He discovered that he could direct the magnetrons power into a metal box and trap it there. He also noted that food placed in the box quickly heated up. So Raytheon submitted a patent for a microwave oven on October 8, 1945. So Raytheon introduced the Radar Range microwave in 1947, which stood nearly 6 feet tall and costed $5,000. In 1955, Raytheon outsourced its patents to Tappan, which launched a microwave that still wasn't applicable for domestic use and costed $1,295 at that time. And Raytheon bought Amana in 1965 and released a countertop microwave for $495 in 1967. Shortly after, Litton invented a microwave oven with a design similar to those used today, which helped promote home microwaves even more. In the United States, there were around 40,000 microwaves in use in 1971, rising to 1 million by 1975. Although some early models leaked, giving them a negative reputation, their popularity grew. Recipes for microwavable meals were abundant throughout the 1980s, as were consumer goods like cupcake kits, but majority of these items were of poor quality. Nonetheless, by 1986, around 25% of American households owned a microwave, and by 1997, the figure had climbed to 90%. So almost every house owns a microwave in US. So is it safe to use old microwaves? If you properly maintain the microwave, you shouldn't have any problems using it even if it is old. However, if it has been damaged, you should get it checked. So what happens if your microwave is leaking radiation? Microwave radiation can cause cataracts in the eye, temporary sterility, and skin burns. You might want to buy a microwave leakage tester to be on the safe side. So, although the original microwave was perfect for a quick snacks, it was actually intended for restaurant use to reheat meals on airplanes. So reheat your leftovers or make your meals from scratch with your microwave oven. Give appliance a special status in your life today. Don't have a microwave oven, or do you need an upgrade? Today is a perfect day to make the purchase and welcome your new favorite appliance into the fold. And so can we find microwaves elsewhere? Yes, Jupiter and Sun emit microwaves, and microwaves are in space. Microwaves are multiple machines. You can even use a microwave to remove labels from jars on these jars. And there are some nutrient heavy greens. Spinach retains virtually all the folate in it when cooked in a microwave and loses about 77% when cooked on a traditional stove. So especially this is very good for preparing greens. And sealed containers of foods such as eggs or squash can explode when heated in microwave oven because of the pressure buildup. So such explosive content should be used cautiously. And Amazon has over 3,800 microwave cookbooks on sale. So who needs a stove? And fast food, of course, the junk food. With a microwave, you never have to wait too long to enjoy your meal. Microwave ovens can cook faster than traditional ovens and make less of a mess. So fast food leftovers never go to waste. Microwave ovens take the stress out of reheating leftovers, and your warm meals up to the push of a button. If it were any easier, it would probably be illegal, and it can save a lot of food wastage. But this may not be the right strategy. It's always good to prepare adequate quantities to avoid wastage. And reheating also comes with its own disadvantages. With microwave ovens, you will never have to worry about getting your food burnt. The timer ensures that your meal is just the way you like it, no burnt flavors for us, thanks to the sensors in microwaves. So we shall conclude the commemoration. And finally, today is the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. In Canada, informally called White Ribbon Day, the day marks the anniversary of École Polytechnique massacre in 1989. As we reflect on the act of senseless violence that claimed the lives of 14 women, we emphasize our dedication to the fighting that hatred that inspired the tragedy. So the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women in Canada honors the victims of gender-based violence and those who have died because of it. It is also an opportunity to act and do our part to create a better world. We can overcome gender-based violence by reflecting and learning from the past, relating to survivors, and speaking against violent behavior. The Canadian Parliament established the day in 1991 to commemorate the 1989 massacre at Polytechnique Montreal, previously École Polytechnique de Montréal. As we mourn the deaths, we must also remember all those who continue to be victims of gender-based violence. Canadians have constructed memorial sites throughout the country in response to the tragedy, ensuring that people are aware of these events, making society aware of how frequently violence against women occurs, and honoring the lives of those who have been killed. Every act of violence against women is motivated by a perception that women are less human than males. As a result, the National Day of Remembrance and Action of Violence Against Women commemorates more than one massacre. It is a call for awareness and change of face of male violence against women worldwide. According to the United Nations, 35% of the women victims are some form of sexual and physical violence inflicted by an intimate partner or non-partner. So this day serves as a reminder of the danger of power imbalance between men and women worldwide, and that we have a responsibility to do something about it. So in 1983, Bill C-127 is passed and is issued in Canada, making rape and sexual assault a crime within the context of marriage. And in Canada, the Charter of Rights and Freedom establishes the right to equality, preventing the government from discriminating against people because of their gender or sexual orientation in 1985. So the Charter of Rights and Freedoms got activated. As already mentioned, in 1989, the École Polytechnique de Montréal massacre occurs. An anti-feminist shooter murders 14 women at the École Polytechnique in Montreal, Canada. And in 1991, Parliament establishes this day, the Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women, to mark the Montreal Massacre anniversary in 1991. So victims of gender-based violence often suffer reproductive and sexual health issues such as unwanted pregnancies, STDs, STIs, chronic fistula, and unsafe abortion. And the Center for Disease Control and Prevention highlights sexual violence, physical violence, psychological aggression, and stalking as the four most common types of partner violence. And how do we end or prevent this gender-based violence? Taking action is the best way to end gender-based violence by paying attention to the survivors, learn from them, and believe their reports. Educate the next generation based on what you have learned. Learn more about consent. Identify the signs of physical and sexual abuse. Don't shy away from starting a conversation. Research and share information. The only way to win the battle is know the enemy, study the history of gender-based violence, and share the information to help spread awareness and help those who need it. Donate to charities for victims of gender-based violence. Your donations go a long way in helping survivors adjust and cope with trauma. And join local events and online events like these to look up participating organizations around you and join their events. Volunteer your time and lend your voice to the cause. Over 15 million girls under 18 got married every year, and this is about 28 every minute in Canada. So, child brides. Unwanted advances, approximately 30% of females report that they were forced into their first sexual experience in Canada. And females between 15 to 44 years old are more likely to be victims of domestic violence or rape than car accidents, cancer, or malaria. So this is that women and girls are at very high risk. And in 2015, because of such advances, over 58% of HIV infections were attributed to young women and adolescent girls. And 1 in every 3 women worldwide is a victim of sexual or physical violence. So, one too many. So, it creates an awareness. We can't change it if we don't talk about it. So, this observance helps us to create awareness about the violence that women suffer at the hands of the men. And so, it creates awareness. And we all get to act and stand against discrimination and gender-based violence. Our actions help change society's attitude towards women and minorities so we can leave an impact. Countless lives are lost to the honors of gender-based violence every year. This holiday is an opportunity to remember the victims we lost and what they endured, to honor the victims. So with this, we shall conclude this commemoration. And today is also Pawnbrokers Day and Put on Your Shoes Day. And the word pawn comes from pantinum, the Latin word for cloth or clothing. Pawnbroking history goes back thousands of years to the ancient Rome and Greek empires and China in the East. Pawnbrokers provide cash loans in exchange for goods and property as collateral. So the pawnbrokers returns to the collateral after the person repays the loan with interest. If the clients don't pay up, they forfeit their property and the pawnbroker can sell it to recoup the loan. But pawnbrokers can play the role of charitable organizations. In Perugia, Italy, a Franciscan friar, Barnaba Menesi, started the Monte di Peta initiative in 1450. The movement offered financial aid to people, giving them no interest loans for pawned items. The idea was to get people to make donations to the church as opposed to paying interest. So the idea gained popularity in Italy and then spread to other regions in Europe. It might surprise you to know that musical instruments are among the most pawned items over the centuries. On Pawnbrokers Day, pawnbrokers offers donate the forfeited instruments to schools or charitable organizations who need them. Generally have access to these instruments, the opportunity to use them. So talk about modern day heroes, but they aren't always considered heroes. From 1603 until 1872, an act was passed against pawnbrokers that aimed to undermine counterfeit brokers throughout London. Brokers in this category were referred to as fences. In England, the Pawnbrokers Act of 1872 established regulations that protected pawnbrokers who unwittingly sold stolen items. It is also established the interest rate on pawned items and general guidelines that define the industry on to this day. So the traditional pawn shop sign has three gold balls hanging from a bar. Although the symbol origin is contested, most people believe it traces back to Medici family of Florence, Italy. It is symbolic because it refers to the Lombardy region where pawn shop banking originated under the name Lombard banking. People pawn all sorts of items at pawn shops, but they are among the but few are very common, like gold and jewelry, electronics, guns, hunting rifles, pistols, and musical instruments. Pawnbrokers mostly rely on repeat business from customers they know and trust, but they also note information such as serial numbers, markings on the item, and the general condition, and collect the customer's ID and other information to avoid selling stolen items. So pawnbroking has a storied past. Why not study the history of profession to understand it better? So research the profession. Pawnbrokers are also everywhere, available everywhere and ready to make a deal. So use a pawnbroker services, but make sure, check the interest rates and other aspects. And take a page out on pawnbroker book and donate. You probably have lots of things lying around, so you can give it to the needy. And Queen Isabella of Spain pawned her jewels to finance Christopher Columbus' voyage to discover the Americas. So transport fare was raised. The modern pawnbroking industry originated in Italy during the 1400s, so it has Italian connection. And pawnbroking boomed in the UK during the late 18th century, where there were almost as many as pawnbroker as public houses, so it became a popular attraction. Over 71% of customers remain loyal to the same pawnbroker, often one close to their home. So they have also become life mates. And deja vu. Most pawn shops enjoy repeat business from the same customers who pawn and reclaim the same multiple times. So we get a give back on this Pawnbrokers Day. We love a good cause and an opportunity to make a difference. Pawnbrokers Day reminds us of the importance of giving to the needy. And we get to appreciate their valuable services as they provide an important service, one that world probably can't do without. So this day allows us to recognize their contribution to our society. And with over 11,000 pawnbrokers in the United States, pawnbroking makes a sizable contribution to the economy. The industry pulls in about over $14.5 billion in revenue annually. So they are here to stay as a strong community. Today is also National Gazpacho Day. So with this, we shall conclude today's commemoration. Yesterday, because of conference, we couldn't take up much commemorations. Yesterday was also National Hand Washing Awareness Week and National Repeal Day and National Communicate with Your Kids Day. Apart from few other days we have commemorated. So National Hand Wash Awareness Weeks, that is from December 5th to December 11th. So this entire week. So personal hygiene begins and ends with our hands. And though we are taught as youngsters to wash our hands before dinner, it is important to remember that germs don't care what time of day it is. Clean hands prevent sickness. So it's especially important to learn the basics about hand hygiene so that you too can become a champion hand washer. So let's examine some handy, see what tips and info in honor of National Hand Washing Awareness Week that takes place during the first full week of December. So in 1860s, Frenchman Louis Pasteur began researching causes and prevention of diseases, leading to his breakthroughs in vaccination and what came to be known as pasteurization. So a breakthrough safety process begins in 1860. Ignaz Philips Semmelweis, a pioneer in and advocate for antiseptic procedures, is born in Hungary in 1818. Ignaz Philips Semmelweis is born. And in 1807, Italian entomologist Agostino Bassi discovers that microorganisms can cause disease. So that's how microorganisms are found and discovered and named in 1807. An Italian scholar and poet Girolamo Frascogno suggests that epidemics are caused by small particles or spores that can be transmitted from one person to other. So that's how the germ theory begins in 1546. The ancient Greek historian Thucydides is the first to suggest that the disease can spread from one person to another. So Thucydides has a breakthrough moment in 400 BCE. So experts recommend hand washing with soap and clean water for at least 20 seconds. And be sure to get a good lather going and clean the back of our hands between the fingers and under the nails. Dry them using a clean towel. There is a lot of science behind these recommendations. So be sure to follow each time you wash your hands. So hope this pandemic has made everyone aware of these techniques and methods of hand washing. And of course, the humorous part is many complained about losing their, fingerprints. Memorize the 5 steps the Center for Disease Control and Prevention calls hand washing a do-it-yourself vaccine, and suggests remembering 5 easy steps: wet, lather, scrub, rinse, and dry. So learn the 4 principles of hand awareness endorsed by American Medical Association and American Academy of Family Physicians. The 4 principles are: wash your hands when they are dirty and before eating, and do not cough into your hands. Do not sneeze into hands, and don't put your fingers into your eyes, nose, or mouth. So according to Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, hand washing can prevent 1 in 3 diarrhea-related illness and in 1 in 5 infections, including the flu. So hand washing equals happiness. So beware the twin killers for kids. About 1.4 million children under age 5 die from diarrheal diseases and pneumonia, the 2 most deadly afflictions for the children worldwide. And the CDC also reports that only 31% of men and 65% of women wash their hands after using a public restroom. So that is secret of public restrooms. Using antibiotics creates antibiotic resistance. Hand washing prevents many sicknesses. So people need less antibiotics, therefore less antibiotic resistance. Recently, we have commemorated this antibiotic resistance week, and we have seen how this antibiotic resistance can cause a fatality because of the resistance, and these life-saving diseases can be less effective due to this regular or abuse of antibiotics regularly. So hand wash your way to health. A typical human sneeze exits the body at about 200 miles per hour and emits about 40,000 droplets into the air. So sneezes are many hurricanes. So healthy hands are happy hands, and happy hands make for happy and healthy homes. It prevents the spread of germs. Think of how many different things we touch during the course of an average day. Now imagine how many of those things were touched by other people's hands. Yeah, wash your hands to prevent the spread of dangerous microbes. Finally, we love National Hand Washing Awareness Week because it reminds everybody else, especially doctors, medical professionals, and allied medical health professionals, and those who prepare the food we eat, to take cleanliness and hygiene seriously. So with this, we shall conclude National Hand Wash Awareness Week. And December 5th was also National Communicate with Your Kids Day. So National Communicate with Your Kids Day is a special day that promotes and spread awareness about the importance of communicating with your kids. And do you know that kids who have good communication with their parents come out successful in life? Yes. Parents who communicate with their kids often build a great relationship with them and also send their kids a message that they value their thoughts and feelings. So what exactly is this National Communicate with Your Kids Day is all about? So parents, let's be frank, life is busy, and in between work and life responsibilities, you might miss a few moments with your children. So don't worry, you are not alone. Many parents worry that they don't spend enough time with their children, wondering if this will lead to developmental delays. And this is why National Communicate with Your Day, Kids Day was created to communicate with your kids to develop a friendly relationship so that they can share their personal feelings, which can avoid many problems in life. Effective communication is a very important skill that is necessary at all stages of life for everyone. The better we are at it, the better our quality of life will be. Communication starts as soon as the child is born, from letting the mother know that we have arrived with our first cry to everything thereafter. So the cry is the first communication of the baby, infant in this world. So as the child develops, it is important we nurture their communication skills so that they are capable of expressing themselves clearly and confidently in all aspects and areas of their life. Even as a child grows older, being able to communicate with employers is critical, regardless of the industry or career they pursue. Good communication skills are listed among the most desirable skills in nearly every job description. So, thus, like any other skill, communication skills can be developed and fine tuned with practice. But by helping developing good communication skills in a child from their youth, as a parent, you are equipping them straight away with the skills to build a successful future. So the Sumerians developed cuneiform writing and the Egyptians developed hieroglyphic writing in the West around 3500 BC to 3000 BC. And the first documented communication, mankind communicates through painting and cave carvings in 3500 BC. As per the West, the invention of alphabet, the Phoenicians developed the alphabet in 1600 BC as per West, and the invention of paper, the Han Dynasty invents the method of paper making for communication in 105 AD in the West. But we have this technology long back. We used these palm leaves and other leaves. So always, we are a long ahead of the entire world in discovery of ink or paper, the kind of reading, writing, and we are very good at oral tradition. That's why, our ancient scriptures, like especially Vedic education, most of them were, we did not focus on documenting on paper or anything. That's why we see, we are very good at memory techniques, strategies, and we have transferred and transformed, and we have, got the knowledge from generations to generations through oral tradition. But the rest of world has, lacked these, and they more focused on documentation, and still they rely on publishing lot of trash. As we see, as already mentioned, the pandemic of publishing is going on, where they don't have their empirical evidence or evidence-based practices are not even so empirical or so evidence-based, because they are very short-lived or based on very short samples or limited samples or secluded samples. And so if thousands of years evidence-based practices are questionable, then what validity and reliability these published trash holds? It's quite questionable. So that's how I call this pandemic of trash publishing. So communication is very important to children in early years because it is vital in developing and maintaining relationships. It includes the nuances of nonverbal communication as well. As we all know and also discussed in various other sessions, only 15% of the communication is verbal communication, and around 85% of the communication we make or we communicate is through non-verbal communication. So non-verbal communication is very important and crucial, and it is the most communication that happens. And communication skills are crucial for learning as well, as child needs these skills to make friends, to learn and let people know and what they want. And it is foundation of relationship. That's how a child learns to reciprocate the emotions, feelings, and experiences with others. So listen with your whole body, pick up the emotions, acknowledge your child's feelings, avoid shaming your child, and focus on behavior. Most of all, try to see the situation through your child's eyes, from their position, from their point of view. So focus on nonverbal communication. Communicate with your child is the greatest way to observe this day of National Communicate with Your Kids Day, and spend some time with them by taking a break from your busy schedule. Engage in everyday quality time with your child. Try to carry out this action in front of your child. Try video chatting with your child if they are not staying with you to find out about their day. Have a daily connection and concern. So play with them. Communicating is not just always verbal. You can also play with your child, even if it's during bath time or outside before you drop them off at preschool or school. Every little bit of time makes a positive impact. So it's more crucial. Communication with children is essential to their relationships and development. It involves listening to. A good communication always involves listening in ways that make child feel valued. Communication does not always mean you keep on talking, talking, talking. A good listener makes a good communicator, and a good communicator is always a good listener. It makes them better at school. A child who's good at communicating verbally will likely perform better in school. Children thrive on communication. So, with words of encouragement and praise, and children will respond better to a smile than a frown. So, smile often. And it's a much needed day. National Communicate with Your Kids Day is as much needed, that emphasizes need for communication skills among children. It also provides an opportunity for reciprocating their feelings, emotions through verbal and non-verbal communication. As parents, it's our duty to make sure that our children communicate well. And also, we need to have a quality time, which this day gives us an opportunity to connect with our children. These meaningful connections are about the quality of time, not the quantity of time. And you can be a role model. Children learn to communicate by watching their parents carefully. So by talking with your child in a respectful way, you give out a powerful message to your child about positive communication. So with this, we shall conclude today's commemorations, and thank you everyone for joining us, and see you all tomorrow at the same time. Take care. Good night. Before you leave, kindly fill up the feedback form. It is mandatory to receive your certificates. See, many are not filling, those who are attending are not filling the feedback form and later on contacting us regarding certificates. So make sure you are filling up the feedback form. If you need certificates, many do not fill the feedback form as they do not want certificates. But if you want certificate at any point of time later, so kindly fill up the feedback form. It also helps, in getting feedback. So quickly fill up the feedback form. before you leave the webinar platform. Feedback form has been raised in the form of polls in Zoom platform. You can access this directly or through polls option. Dear friends, quickly fill up the feedback form